Oh, and then Janet, I wanted to let you know I modified the minutes with the roll call vote, but I didn't send it out to anybody. I have to do that. And then we have the joint meeting capital ready to go too. So I'm gonna send you guys both sets of minutes. But we already had a correction on the minutes I sent out, so. Okay, I believe we're live on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes.
Should I start reading?
Yeah, hold on, you're hearing me on YouTube.
You have to call to order first.
Yeah, okay, you guys are good to go on my end now. Okay,
Okay, I'm calling to order the Town of Southborough meeting of the Library Board of Trustees, February 16th, 2021, 11 a.m. via remote participation. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law GLC 30, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Library Board of Trustees will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner: southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. And then I do a roll call. Is that next?
Yeah.
All right. I'm here, Trustee Davis, Trustee, who's next? Reagan?
Regan, present.
Oh, Trustee Ekberg?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Donnie?
You're muted, Amy.
She's muted.
Here.
There we
And Trustee Maney?
Here.
Okay, all attending. Should we review the minutes of the meeting for January 26th first, or do you want to jump to Mary?
so, well, there's, let me just do two housekeeping things, if that's okay.
That's fine.
For clarity for the minutes, if you guys want to decide today who makes a motion and then who seconds the motion for the votes, it might make sense, Jane, for you to make the motion, and then Janet, if you wanted to second, because you do have to take a vote on the budget. So that's just a friendly housekeeping reminder. And then,
So we want to review the revised minutes. Is that what you're saying? But you didn't revise the budget, though.
no, the budget you got sent is the budget we have. The minutes, there was Marguerite and Janet both brought to my attention that the way that votes are done in the minutes should also be reflective of how you're doing it in the meetings. It should be a roll call. So there is a revised set of minutes. If you guys have additional corrections for the minutes though, I would advise you to go over them now. And then if you want to make a motion and approved as amended, you can do that.
Okay, so I should open discussion on the minutes for the last meeting of January 26th. Comments? Anyone? Sorry, my dog. So the only revisions would be to add in the roll call listing of the trustees' names. So I move that we approve the minutes, I move that we approve the revised minutes of the meeting on January 26, 2021.
Second.
Okay, let's see. Trustee Ekberg,
Aye.
Trustee Reagan,
Aye.
Trustee Maney,
Aye.
Trustee Yazdani.
Aye.
And I say aye. So the revised minutes for the meeting of January 26th are, as amended, are accepted. Is that right?
Yep, awesome job, Jane.
Okay, so now should we move to Mary or do you want to go to the director's report?
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind, let's start with Mary so that she can probably move on to another big construction project.
Go back outside in the rain, you mean? The
Yeah.
hard hat hair, the whole. Um, So the project is moving rather slow and now the weather is hindering us even more. It's not costing the town any more money. We're not giving them any additional general conditions for supervision or anything. We have requested that management from the roofing company attend this week's meeting because we haven't been happy with their the amount of manpower they've been sending. There've been way too many gaps in their presence on site. So they will be here Thursday at our regular weekly meeting to discuss the issue and see how they can expedite the finishing up the edges of the roof. We did have a leak over the break room that the contractor will own repairing. The leak, we're not sure what caused it yet. So we're waiting for a determination of that from the management person also. And then we'll just, once we know the leak has been properly rectified, we will have them repair the inside of the library. There's some damage to the roof and the wall, not the ceiling and the wall, not a huge amount, but it does need to be repaired. Other than that, we're moving along. The storm windows still aren't on site. We knew they were going to be a long lead time due to COVID, so they're still on schedule sometime in March. So, and hopefully we'll see them. The abatement was supposed to start today, but due to the rain, I spoke to the owner of the company last night. He will let us know again tonight if they're coming tomorrow. It's weather dependent. They're going to be outside on ladders abating the windows, or, you know. And that's not holding anything up because that needs to be done before the storm windows get put on. So they've got time to bounce around on the good days. Other than that, Ryan's getting sick of seeing construction people all over his library. Is there any questions or?
What is an abatement?
It's removal of a hazardous material. So the original caulking on the windows contained a recordable amount of asbestos. So we have a licensed hygienist that will be witnessing the work and will be making sure that the material is removed properly. So there's no risk to the employees or residents. It will be taken care of and monitored properly.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, the leak, it scares me when I hear that word. The leak, is this in a new place or a place where we had issues before?
Ryan, I think you had some water there before, but not recently.
Water had come in over a year ago in the same place. So
Okay,
I would not describe this as a new issue. It was a minimal amount of water. When it happened a year ago, this was much more significant. So this did happen the week before the drains were snaked.
Right.
And now the drains should be clear. So we have not noticed, right? Got to knock on the desk when I say this, any additional water in the past 24 hours. So that is a good sign, right? Because we're getting a significant amount of rain right now.
Yeah, today is a good test. So there were two places we were looking. Ryan's correct. One was the drains, because if you remember, we had water infiltrating Ryan's office on the other side, symmetrically the same, and the drain was clogged. But we caught that before the new roof went on. So now this side, the drains were cleaned this week. The other thing is it's right where the old building meets the new building, even though that room is new. So we want to get up there on the roof on a safe day, weather day, and check the flashing and where it meets the new building. So we want to look at everything.
What's the plan for going forward for managing, making sure those drains are cleared? Like whose responsibility is that past this construction?
I think that would be facilities. Probably John Parent will have something on his schedule. You know,
He
We do
will
have the
maintain
trees
a
built in.
regular, yeah, sorry, Mary. He'll maintain a regular maintenance schedule, Kim, where he'll periodically probably have a vendor come out. We're already doing regular maintenance now on the sump pumps that were installed after the flood. So this will just be added to the maintenance schedule for facilities.
Great, thanks.
And they should be watched. The two low roofs have overhanging trees, and that's what the branches, the leaves, that the fallout gets stuck, with the wind pushing around, ends up catching in the drains.
The big issue is, of course, roof access. because we can't access the roof ourselves without having a ladder physically brought to the library. So we'll probably, I mean, I would assume we check these before freezing temperatures next year in the fall. I can try to touch base with John and see what type of time frame we're looking at, if it's an annual check, if it's more than that.
Mhm. And is there a plan in the spring for addressing the overhanging trees just to reduce debris that ends up on the roof?
That's a thing for Karen. So I can talk with DPW and see if we can follow up with them. Karen does periodically trim trees. This might not be on her radar because I don't think we've ever talked about branches that hang over the library. So this might be, she's got to be here to install that solar powered bench we got with the grant last year. And there's actually a number of things I think DPW will be checking in with in the spring. So we can add this to the list.
Yeah, I don't think they're technically hanging totally over, but what happens, in the fall when leaves are falling and the wind blows them, they're ending up there. Because the clog that was in Ryan's side was all tree debris.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Questions for Mary?
Do we want to just touch base about potential time frame for completion? Because I know that's been a question.
I think it's going to be the end of March, the way the weather's hitting us now. They missed the window.
So I'm telling you guys April, even though I'm here.
And it's all on that. It's all on the contractor. The roofer started 2 weeks late, so that's not our problem that he's not done, and now he's got to be there longer. That's their problem.
The weather has caused them to be here less days during the week than
Right.
they are actually on site. So
That's kind of unavoidable.
Mary, do financial penalties kick in after a certain date, such as the last day of March?
No, there is some language in the spec, but with a project like this, you have to prove that there was a hardship and the library is closed. You're still operating. We haven't affected your operation. Those penalties usually come in if you're renting another space because you're under construction and you have to rent it longer. Or you're storing materials somewhere and you're paying for that longer storage. We don't have any physical hardship to say, here, you're going to have to pay for this now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I guess we say thank you, Mary, and move on.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll get there.
So the director's report. Ryan, do you want to speak to the budget?
Sure. So I did give a little notice. I re-upped my Massachusetts Library Association membership, and we did go $43 over budget on professional development. So in the report, I noted that still washes out with the travel money. So we won't be doing any more professional development expenditures. So that line item is essentially complete now.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody had any questions. I still feel like we're on good track for educational supplies. We're spending a lot more because a lot more books are being published that we're purchasing now. Also looking at some potential overdrive purchases at the end of the year, similar to what we did last year if there's an overage. We did not get the ALA grant, and I am going to try to reapply, but I would say I'm not optimistic. I noted that in the report. So one of the options we do have is if there's enough money in the budget at the end of the year and we wanted to purchase consumer reports through EBSCO and provide electronic access to that, we could. So that might be something I bring up to you guys in May or June, because that's been a request and something that I would like to add. But then it's trying to recurringly pay for it the next year, which is going to be the issue. Because we didn't budget for it.
Okay.
Other than that, I think we're good. We're going to have, I did talk to the town accountant. There was a question from, I believe, one of the selectmen on how much money we're going to turn back as far as salaries. I don't have a figure yet. I don't really like to start doing projections until around May. I would say early May, because at that point we have 2 months left of the fiscal year. What I can tell you is at this point, it's a pretty significant amount of money. because the payrolls are averaging a little over 15,000 every 2 weeks. So you can kind of extrapolate what the math is going to be. But again, we're going to be doing more outdoor programming in the next couple months. So there might be an opportunity for part-time staff members to start getting more hours, whether or not they're covering the curbside operations inside or they're assisting with programming outside. So I don't really, until we get closer to the date, I'm not comfortable giving you an estimate.
Okay,
I hope that's okay.
yes, that's okay. What's next? Any questions?
Not on
Okay.
expenses, but you're gonna talk about next year's budget?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish the director's report, if that's okay, Janet. And then I want to do the budget as like a completely separate item,
Okay,
because I think it warrants that. But so we're good this year. So that's kind of the expense report part in the director's report, if that's okay. So,
So should we move on?
yeah. Facilities, I did talk to John for a while. We had a good conversation about putting, I know we talked about this in the last meeting, putting sort of casing or grates over the thermostats.
Yeah,
And I believe John has ordered something. He warned us that they are not the most attractive things in the world. So I'm readying you guys for that. He did note that he's able to do settings for the thermostat, and he has made it so they can only be modified within 4 degrees. So they go from 68 degrees to 72 degrees. And then if we have to modify it, we have to put in a request with facilities. So even if the grates are not on all of them, or they are in some public areas, it's not like somebody can, turn it down to 60 or something. They don't have the ability to do that.
okay, well, that's a good thing.
Copy machine, I've done everything I can at this point. I need to check with Brian about the credit card payment, but I believe we can actively use the copy machine now if we want to. So Canon is gonna schedule at some point a tutorial to have a person come out and give the staff members like just a little mini, this is how this copy machine works. And it is similar to the one we had, but there are some notable differences, including the fact that it collects like the dust from the ink, and that needs to be emptied. And then I believe a piece needs to be reordered. So that's one example of how it's a little bit different. So the management behind the machine is different. So it's been fun. I mean, a lot of my time has been spent on the copy machine in the past couple months, as you can imagine. We talked about the leak.
Now it's there, though, that's exciting.
Yes, yeah, and we have it set up, it's now set up in the DVD area because it always kind of jutted out in front of the elevator. So we did that because the network connections were a little bit better over where we had it. So we're gonna try it out. We can always move it back over to where it was if we don't like it where it is, but
Once you start having patrons inside, see the traffic flow.
yeah.
Okay,
It's nice because you can kind of go and when you're making copies, because sometimes people are making copies of like resumes or personal documents. You're not like in the main walkway of the library going to circulation. Now it's almost like in that little DVD nook. So it's still in a place where people browse, but I kind of like it because it's a little bit more, I don't want to say discreet, but it's like, you're not right where people walk in.
yeah, okay, we'll see how that goes once you actually have open the library. Okay,
As far as the service updates, very exciting news. And I sent out a notice this morning it was really at 11 o'clock because that's when you could schedule your first online appointment. But if you get notifications about holds, you can now log into your account and you can schedule a curbside pickup online. So I believe we've had one patron do this so far, and the rest have been the staff testing it as tutorials to show each other how to use the system. So we will hopefully have more examples of this. But if people are watching from home and they get notifications about holds online, you know how to log into your account. You'll see a little tab now in your account settings that says curbside. You can click on that and you can schedule a pickup.
That's
great.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
great. It will save you a lot of staff hours making all those phone calls.
And then Pat and I are convinced we've gotten more food in the last 2 weeks than we got in the last 2 years from the Love Your Library campaign. So we had them pick it up on Thursday morning, and then we got another donation that was almost exactly the amount that they picked up. And it was like a full book cart worth of items. So I think we're getting I think it's individual people are donating significantly more than they did in any prior year. And I would just note, this is the only year we haven't incentivized the program because we're waiving fines anyway, because of the building being closed. So people really are doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. And it is, I don't know, I think it's really great that people are donating this much and participating in the program. So we may look at doing another partnership with the food pantry at some point in the summer. Because Pat and I have talked about that before, so.
Summer is when they need it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep in touch with Barbara and, see if there's a need and then go from there.
Okay.
And then honestly, I usually have good news about grants, but I feel like the whole back half of the director's report is talking about grants we didn't get. So it does look like there are some other funding sources I can look at for some of the projects we wanted to fund. And then if we don't get funding for them, we don't get funding for them. That's how that works. So I should note that the SCAC is going to fund, it looks like, the ukulele programs. They were supportive of that in their meetings. They just need to let everybody appeal the decisions before they send out the grant notices. So until we get notification that we're awarded the grant, we're not going to schedule the programs. So there'll be a little bit of a delay. And then we haven't really, we need to notify the SCF because they were going to give us money to purchase physical ukuleles to circulate. So the timeline is just pushed out. It's looking more and more like it's going to be a summer program, which I think might work out better anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Can you do that in person then, like outside?
It's possible. We will talk to the vendor who's going to
Yeah.
run the programs. It might have to be a limited number, which that's going to be the song I think we keep singing about the programming. We're going to have a registration cap.
Great.
But yes, we're going to explore as many in-person programming avenues, Amy, as we can, because I think Kim and I are very interested in that. And that will include not just children's programs, but potentially adult programs too.
I
So,
think across the board, everybody's sick of interacting online. So if we can get outside and do things, it'd be great.
I should note too that I did have a conversation with the editor of My Southborough. She had asked if we were going to potentially host any public forums prior to town meeting, because we've done that in the past. So we will look at if we can feasibly do any of that outside, or if it even makes sense to partner with like rec and do it at Neary if we think there's a significant amount of interest. What I can say is when we did do a couple of interest meetings, I would say, about the lighting bylaw. And I know we had like a little information sheet that we put up about the noise bylaw that are, I think, going to both be on the warrant for this year. And we had some people who came and who were interested in those, but not like a significant number, I would say. So I think we could feasibly probably do them on the library lawn. So we might look at options for that.
Okay, that would be fun. Like it. Do we want to talk a little bit about the library interior renovations, or is that, did Mary sort of?
So that's the capital item. So this was what we did the joint meeting with the capital planning committee about on February 8th. So the update is really that there is no update. I don't believe that capital took a vote on any of the items yet. I believe they're waiting to hear back from advisory and the selectmen. So because we're still pretty early in we were when it was in March, late in the town meeting process, and now we're early because it's going to probably be scheduled for the summer, right? So I think they are still looking at what can sort of be shifted or deferred. I will say thank you all for coming to that meeting on February 8th. So I can publicly say that. You guys, I think, made the difference in letting them know that this needs to happen. So they were unanimously supportive in
I
that
think they
meeting.
were. The attitude, especially after you said that rug's never been cleaned in 30 years, that they were on board with.
I let John say that, but I can tell you that it hasn't been cleaned. So he was not wrong.
No, that was good for them to know that. Was
I think that was the most important piece of information, because the thing isn't in rags or anything, but the
it's
fact that it can't be clean and it has that much traffic is disgusting.
right. And the one who had small children sitting on it, I think that made
Yeah.
a big impact. So
Bill
they seemed
Palmer.
positively inclined, I thought, but we'll see.
So I will keep you posted if I hear anything from Mr. Malinowski or, you know, in one of the meetings, but it did seem like everybody on Capitol at least was very supportive of this happening next year. So I feel strongly that it'll probably appear on the town meeting warrant under the capital items.
Okay, that's good. So should we move on? Teen librarian job description, follow-up from personnel board meeting, which was in January.
Yes, so Marguerite and I went to the personnel board meeting last week, where we had a number of library issues. So there was, I had the tuition reimbursement request, which because I was after the deadline, they decided not to reopen the tuition reimbursement. But as I noted in the director's report, they did agree to fund it out of the professional development costs. So that was very nice of them because I was 20 days after the deadline. They didn't need to do that. So I appreciate it. I have taken my first class and I passed my first test.
Good job.
Then they did also vote, they confirmed Kim's appointment with the salary increase for assistant library director. So it's all official now. Kim is the assistant library director. So that's also really great news. When it came to the teen librarian position, I had mentioned I had spoke to the chair probably in like late December, I think. And she had asked if we could wait until FY23 to put it in. So that was sort of in this meeting that was kind of echoed, especially since we were not going to hire somebody in FY22. I will say it's probably more likely we will start looking seriously at hiring somebody in FY23. So I don't think there's any harm in waiting.
Okay,
They had a robust discussion about it. I think they weighed all the pros and cons of doing it now versus doing it later. You know, I know you guys wanted me to try to see if we could do it this year, and there just isn't, there was not a majority decision to do it this year. So we'll look at doing it in FY23, and we'll bring the request back if that's okay with all of you.
mhm,
Okay.
okay,
That's the update. You won't see it in the town meeting warrant under the SAP article for this year, which is, we're not hiring anybody this year, so it's fine.
all right. Any questions on that? No, we're running down this agenda really
Hey, can you-
fast.
you just
Any
tell
other
me-
business?
Wait, one more thing. When I missed the line about the salary increase, is that something that happens now, or is that going to be next fiscal year for Kim?
No, Kim's salary increase happens now. Because the promotion, so the promotion is effective from the date that Personnel Board approves it. So
Yeah.
last Wednesday, so Kim will get a promotion increase as of last Wednesday,
Terrific. Good job.
Good.
which she's been doing the work.
I know, for a long time.
Yeah. And I will say, there was very little discussion. I think everybody knows Kim and how hard she works. So that was.
Is she
it was
pleased?
nice.
Is she pleased?
Yes, she was very happy. And the next day we had a staff member, it was our part-time library technician who moved. And she was very sad when she left. So I feel like Kim went through the whole gamut of emotions last week. She was really happy with her promotion and then really sad that we lost a staff member. So.
Mm.
Hmm. But in the long run, she'll be good.
Yeah.
She'll be it'll be nice for her. Any other questions? Did we want to?
Are we on the budget?
Yes, I think so.
Because I know Janet's been waiting.
I know, well, we're there now.
Be patient.
So,
Okay, so yes, so do you guys have your copy of the revised budget?
Mhm.
yes,
So the only thing I'll note, I guess, is that educational supplies went down about $200 in this revised version. So it includes Kim's increase and promotion to assistant library director. So that's reflected in the salary. And what we did was there were 3 library technician positions. Now there are only 2. So 3 in the last version of the budget, 2 in this version of the budget. And that basically equaled out. The technician made a little bit more than Kim's promotion.
Okay.
And then we did increase really we had budgeted at a 2.5% increase for the staff, but personnel board approved a 2.8. So that was at the meeting prior to the one I was talking about. So we had to adjust the budget for that. And that was really why the educational supplies went down a little bit to sort of offset that cost. But we're still within the state recommended 16%, so we're fine.
So this budget doesn't include either of the requests from the town manager to reduce the budget.
Correct.
Okay. Did you get any feedback?
We'd be looking at a 0.5% increase at the 14.5K cut. And then we'd actually have to, we'd have a pretty significant cut in the other version.
Okay. What feedback did you get when you told them you want to make a change?
So I haven't communicated that. I was asked by Brian to send in a revised budget, but we had to have a discussion about it now. So if
Okay.
you guys want to talk about budget cuts, now would be the time.
Nope.
Yeah, the sense I got from the last time, I think last meeting when we talked about the budget was that you didn't want to entertain any cuts. Is that still correct?
I think that's still the
Yes,
case.
that's correct.
Yes,
I don't think there's any fluff in here to cut.
I know, Amy, you had asked about Skillshare, and because that wasn't reflected on the statistics. So Skillshare is unique in that I have to manage authentications. So somebody makes a request on a Google form, and I actually have to manually enter it in. So we were going to reset those authentications every month, but we've basically have about 2 people a month who sign up for Skillshare. So I haven't revoked anyone's access because we still have the number of seats available.
Oh, okay.
We hit, I would say, the 25 mark. That's when I need to start resetting authentications. And I'm coming up with a draft email that I'm going to send people and I'm going to encourage them to re-sign up if
Okay.
they'd like to continue access. But the idea is the access won't be forever. Skillshare is not set up to manage authentications. It's our only database vendor that isn't.
Okay.
So I figured if somebody signs up for it and they're using it and no one else,
Yeah, that makes sense.
why would we take the access away if it's not being utilized?
I didn't know that. I just sent you a request again, so.
The main thing is I need to set up the form to notify me via email when someone signs up, because I didn't set up the form that way. So I have to remember every week to check it. And
Oh yeah, there's an easy little, you know how to do it, right?
yeah,
Okay.
it's super easy. So I don't know why I didn't set it up.
Well,
that way.
because I had to do that with SEF, and if I didn't get pinged, I just off my radar and then I'd miss it. So yeah, it's a good, nice feature.
Ryan, just to be clear, did you say a few moments ago that the 2.8% salary increase across the board is as good as done at this?
Yes, so the budget that you got with this meeting that's in your documents,
Right.
the 2.8 increases for the staff is reflected in that budget.
Wait, Ryan, I'm seeing 2.7. Is it possible I might be looking at an older one?
Let me. I just had it up and I just got out of it. Sorry, Kim.
No, that's okay. The one I'm looking at was dated 2/15 in the corner.
Yeah, it says 2.7.
That's the part-time salaries going down.
Yeah, so the 2.7 is the overall amount.
Mhm.
I see what you're seeing now. So 2.7 was the overall amount because one of the positions was taken out, the technician position. There was a little bit of savings. I don't know the correct term, but it's not reflective of a 2.8 overall because the technician position cost a little bit more than what Kim's promotion was.
Oh, I see. So the 2.8 increase was applied for the permanent salaries and wages permanent
Yeah.
line. Okay.
And it's good you brought this up because we should say this in the meeting on the recording. Library pages are not subject to the increase rate. We do not evaluate them. And so employees need to have an evaluation in order to get an increase. And because the pages have such a minimal role and they only work here, we all agree that the pages are high school kids. So when they graduate, they kind of move on, right? We are not considering them for the increases. They're only here for a year or two usually, so.
How much do you pay them?
$11.07 an hour currently.
7. Is that what the minimum wage is?
It is not. The municipal
Oh, that's right, it's lower.
It goes by the federal minimum wage rate. So if that is modified on the federal level, that has an effect on us. So we will see if that ends up happening. And I will say, Personnel Board's doing a great job. They are looking at the compensation charts every year now. I don't know in the past if they were on this level, and they're increasing them as a result of sort of cost of living. So it's not just the individual rates of the employees that's being affected, it's the rate table. So that is making a big difference. So I can tell you with the technicians, it was the associates. With the associates, we put them in that position and we paid them the minimum of the position, and then we had to readjust it because the table was adjusted and there was like a 3-cent differential. So they ended up getting 3 cents more an hour. I know, we went crazy, guys. But that, it's being looked at every year and then it's being adjusted, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense, Kim? The 2.7 though is because also it's a little bit lower because of the pages. That's the other piece.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Everything else is maintained in this. So I know that I brought up consumer reports. That's probably something I'm going to ask you guys before I do it. If I were to do it and it's not budgeted next year, there's nothing to preclude us from taking that amount out of educational supplies in another year. I would just let you know if we're doing that because we've tried to move all of the subscription costs over to the subscription line item. But if we don't budget for that, it's mainly just shifting. It's like what we've done with the overages with dues and professional development is that we just need to make sure that the bottom line balances at the end of the year. And I promise you I do that.
Have you gotten a lot of requests for the consumer reports database, or from your perspective, is it more to acquire that to fill a hole in our services?
I think a significant amount of people have requested it. I believe Mr. Litt is in the audience and he has been asking for this for a couple of years. I think it is something that we should provide because especially since it's so difficult to access the physical magazine right now, and we only get one issue. So often like the buyer's guide, if somebody takes the buyer's guide out, that's been unavailable. Mr. Litt is also not the only person who's asked for it. I would say requests for electronic databases are sometimes more sporadic. I think people don't know to ask for it. engage me. So the Municipal Technology Committee is constructing a survey. I don't know if you guys have seen the survey. I think it's about 50 questions right now. There is a page in the library, and there is a question specifically about, would you access consumer reports? So if they get data on that, they will share that with us. I have also thought about doing a survey, even something basic like on Twitter, where we can just, you can set it up very quickly and then people can just respond to it. So I might say, like, if we offered consumer reports online, would you access it?
Yeah, okay. Mr. Litt has also noted in the chat that Consumer Reports has moved a lot of their material to the digital edition, which
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of them are going that way.
Mm.
Like they're all like stuff you want to see. Oh, if you belong to our online thing, you can see it. Otherwise, too bad. So
Because the magazine is like a snapshot in time.
yeah.
So if they do like a car, like a car issue, they're only doing cars at that time.
Right.
With cars. So the data gets updated every month. So I think getting online access to it, it's basically the last thing I think that I would like to offer that we're not offering right now. And that's famous last words. I'm sure other things are
Still
gonna
do
come out.
something else.
Yeah, or we're gonna get additional requests, but I think Mr. Litt asked about this something like over 2 years ago. And we've been exploring avenues to try to make it happen that entire time.
How much does it cost, Ryan?
I wanna say a little over $1,000 a year. So that much.
Because I needed to look up something and signed up for it myself, and it's been well over a year and I can't figure out how to get out of it. But they only charge me $10 a month.
Yeah, so it's,
Libraries.
Mr. Litt did note that the individual memberships are much cheaper than the organizational membership because we have to go through EBSCO. So I mean, if somebody really wanted this, you could make an argument that it's affordable, but I think the library should provide access to it so people wouldn't have to pay.
It is a good service.
Yeah.
Well, if I ever used it, it would be. I was buying.
I would
one
say if we
thing.
have 10 people use it a month, I have a feeling like we get at least 10 people using it a month. And then I feel like that kind of balances out as the cost. And the $1,000 is an annual membership. It's
I
not
was going to ask you, Ryan, on your newsletters that you're doing, I've just been talking to people in passing lately about the electronic databases and other things we have, and they are shocked that we have them. So are you going to keep like beating that drum? Because everybody I've talked to has been like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you had X, Y, or Z. And, you know, like, I don't know that I'd have known all of them if I wasn't on the board and was using JSTOR the other day. So I don't know how we get it out there, but I think the more people, just like this online consumer reports, if I had the option to do that rather than wait in line, you know, in a hold line for the buyer's guide or the car issue or something, I think people would jump at the chance. It's just, I don't know how we get it out there.
Yeah, so I will toot the horn of one of your fellow trustees. So Kim Regan has been working with Amy Townsley, and I've also worked with a little bit with Amy. We've constructed now a schedule through April that is going to highlight one of the electronic databases throughout the week. So I'm sure you saw that with I believe Help Now, which is the tutoring one. We are going to launch into the next database. And we are actively engaging with some of the vendors on marketing resources that they can provide us. So you'll see some like custom images and stuff like that. So the work isn't going to end in April. Just trying not to freak Amy out. But like, we need to, once we're done the initial marketing push, we need to go again. Right. What we're trying to do is at the end of the week, we're trying to find like a fun thing, like something sort of esoteric about the database we think would attract a new user. Yeah. And that's kind of what the, the beginning of the week is a little bit about here's what it is, here's what it can do, here's how people are using it now. And then the end is sort of like, this is something that you could use that is really great. And you're probably not using it, but here's something that will make you, right?
That's a great idea. Yeah. Thank you, Kim, for doing this.
Good idea. Good marketing.
So
any other things we want to talk about?
So the only thing I'll say is, because I know we've I'm the one who always takes you guys on a journey, a tangential journey away from what we're supposed to be talking about. But if you like the version of the budget that was submitted, if you guys vote and then approve it, I can send it to Brian. So I know he's anxious for that. So if you want to close discussion on that and then make a motion and take a vote.
So moved.
I can't make a motion, David. I think we're gonna have Jane make the motion and then,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Jane do it.
There's
I
no,
like
more-
your enthusiasm though.
Yeah.
if there's no more discussion on the budget, I move that we take a vote to accept it.
Second.
So moved. Okay. Second.
Okay, trustee Ekberg? We're voting now. Do you vote to approve it?
Who are you asking?
Dave,
Trustee
she's
Eckberg.
asking you.
Yes, I approve. Aye.
Davis, yes, aye. Trustee Reagan,
Aye.
trustee Maney,
Aye.
trustee Yazdani.
Aye.
Motion is approved. The revised budget is approved.
Thank you.
All right, so that was good. Any other business that anyone would like to bring up while we're all together?
I think I wanted to bring up, I know that my term is up this year. And I noticed on my Southborough, Beth had kind of summed up all of the, I guess, terms. So I guess there were more on the ballot this year than I thought. It looks like there are openings for 2 3-year terms, 1 2-year term, and 1 1-year term. Does that sound right to you guys?
David, weren't you on a 1-year term?
Oh, wait, you know what? I
So
think
I
I'm
must
looking at last
be up
year.
for re-election because I only for the remainder of somebody else's
Sorry.
of their 3-year term. So I'm a 1-year guy that I need to run again.
Okay, sorry. I'm actually I just realized the date on this is for last year that came up. So
I think
No worries about
you,
that.
Kim, it's my understanding is Kim, I think you go for re-election and then David has to run for re-election.
yes,
Right.
If you want to run. for
I do. Yes.
me too. So I think, yeah, we just need to look up the time frame, but at least based on this article from last year that I didn't realize I was reading, I think we have until March to pull papers.
Get signatures, yeah.
And Mr. Litt was nice enough, on the Town of Southborough website, the clerk lists the term dates. So you can always double, if any of you are wondering when your term is expiring, you can always check the town's website.
I wonder if I don't know what they did last year. I wonder if there's any way to not have to collect signatures in person. I mean, that seems like such a
Yeah.
awful thing to do these days.
Well, we had to do it a year ago when it was just getting started.
Right.
Well, yeah, we got it. It was due right before we locked down, if I recall, right, Janet? It's all Janet.
Yeah, I don't remember being concerned at the point I was getting signatures.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was getting close.
I mean, I guess the transfer station is still open, but
But I mean, you could leave a table and stay way behind it and ask, but
Yeah.
it'd be really, and you're not going to be the only ones involved with this. There's a whole bunch of other people, including like the moderator who has to.
and
do
we can all
signatures every
sign and
year.
our spouses can all sign to help. That'll get you. Fortunately, there's not a huge amount needed, so, I'm sure we'll all
I
help.
don't know if that's mass general laws. Maybe the governor can
Yeah,
institute something, because that's really irresponsible to make all these people in all these towns go out and collect signatures.
and we can sign digitally for other things for, like all the
Yeah.
things we've been sent, so I don't know. That's
You
about-
know what? I'll send an email to the town clerk and just see if they've heard of anything.
I know Jim has actively engaged with the state on trying to make things easier for the boards and
Yeah.
committees in Southborough. So I'm sure if this is not something that's on their radar, I don't think anybody knows how elections are gonna run. I believe the town election is in May.
Oh, it's like the 5th or 7th or something. like that,
Yeah, so we have a little bit of time in before you have to hopefully worry about this. But if you need a space at the library outside, we can also provide that. we're,
Okay, yeah, no, I was just trying to think of the time frame because I couldn't remember it, but it sounds like, Dave and I might have to start earlier if we have to physically get the signatures from people.
please run for reelection, both of you.
I plan to.
I will, I promise.
Okay. Anything else? All right, does someone
Close from our last meeting, because we only had like, we did it at the end of the month, and then we did capital. And then I promise, I'm trying not to do any more joint meetings. Where,
That was all right. It was worth going. It was
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
Absolutely.
No, Ryan just promised that there was only one meeting a month, and I think there's been 2 ever since I started, but that's okay.
So when is next month's?
Oh.
oh, I can look that up.
16th again?
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
March and February are the same, so.
It's not right after a holiday weekend this time, so
Or
that'll,
school vacation week for Kim and I.
well, we can, if you guys want to push it back.
No, this week is
No,
school
this week,
vacation, not
today.
next one.
Today is. Do we like doing it at 11 in the morning? Well, that was a change, wasn't it? Didn't we have it later?
Noon is
We're
when
having
we've
it at
been
noon.
meeting.
We used to do it at noon.
Yeah, I think that changes for me because I actually have a meeting for the next few months at 1 o'clock. So
11?
on March 16th, if we could keep it at 11, that would be great. If
Sure.
noon works better, I could do the week following, if you guys would rather.
11
11 works for me.
11?
Yep.
I think 11's, well, it's okay for me if I know in advance anyway.
Okay, thank you.
How about you, Ryan?
It's good for me. I think it motivates us all to get done by lunchtime, right?
A little hungry. All right, well, if there's nothing else, can I move to adjourn? I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All those in favor, David Eckberg,
Aye,
Janet Maney,
Aye.
Kim Reagan,
Aye.
Amy Astani,
Aye.
and Jane Davis out of order. Aye. Okay, the meeting's adjourned at 11:52 a.m.
Well, is that a record?
Yes, must be.
Less than an hour.
Jane,
I
you did a
swear,
great
in
job.
the future, we will have hour-long meetings. It's always my fault.
It's a challenge.
We have hopefully two more months of construction. Like I like Mary. I'm excited when she's not gonna be in our meetings anymore. So
Hey,
Thank
Kim,
you
one
all.
last question. Do you and I need to negotiate with respect to what kind of a term we're going to be running for?
no,
think
it'll be
both the
3
terms-
You're always 3.
Or
Yeah.
3 years. Yeah,
So-
you'll be on a normal cycle from now on.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
you just picked up
and you the
someone
same.
else's remainder of his term, her term.
Okay.
Yeah,
The only
So I'm
The
not
only
crowding
reason that-
anybody out if I run for a 3-year term then.
no, you're not. You're
Yeah,
staying.
so the only reason there were shortened terms, David, is because there were members of the board who resigned.
Right, I understand.
Different term limits, but a
Okay.
standard term for a trustee is for 3 years. So
Got it.
that's, we should note, that's what you're signing up for if you run for election,
I
so.
got it.
Don't stress that, Ryan. He's already said he's gonna run.
Yeah.
Don't push it.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
it's good to see
Thank
you
you.
all. Take care.
Have a great month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
You more.